Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello, I'm Tristan Riddell.
And I'm Matt Hansen.
And welcome to the Senate Floor.
Talk nerdy to me.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Yes, this is episode 56 of the Senate Floor. We've done 56 of these, and we are so thankful that you downloaded our podcast. We are very appreciative of the listeners and everything that you do for the podcast, and that includes going to our website at thenerdparty.com. There you can find all of our episodes from all of our shows, and you can check out our other shows. You can check out Aggressive Negotiations, Nerd Nuptial, as well as the Splinter show of the Senate Floor, Filibuster. Speaking of Filibuster, I am incredibly jealous of last week's show because that is something I absolutely wanted to talk about.
Forward all of your complaints to @Lee Nostromo, because I swear to you that was not my idea. He came up with that idea, and me being in the midst of school and not having an idea of my own, I said, fine, we'll go with your idea since you've already thought it up. So you have only Lee to blame, and my laziness, I guess. So I guess you could technically be mad at me if you want to.
No. It just sounded more like a Senate Floor topic than it did filibuster. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that the foreigners are stealing our jobs. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying the Scottish are trying to invade our podcast network.
That is exactly what I'm saying. But for those of you who do not know what we were talking about, last week you guys talked about movies and TV that you relax to, or that you use to relax with while you watch. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, one thing that you brought up was like you like to watch a good sitcom. You like something where it doesn't take itself too seriously, where you just need to unwind. Because I'm with you, man. Like if I come home, I want to, and I'm just like, I've had a bad day. Like today, I had a horrible day today. All I want to do is after we're done podcasting is sit back, watch Bob's Burgers or Parks and Rec or something like that.
So, and, you know, as much as I love Lee, I can't go with him on watching something that's about the thing that I'm worried about, because it's like, I'm already stressed about that thing. Why do I want to remind myself more of that thing?
Yeah, like no, it's like this. You should watch this because it's about death and life, and you're like, no, I want nonsense. I want to figure out who's gonna win the flower show. You know, like I don't care about like if the war is gonna start.
I want to watch the Golden Girls over a cheesecake talking about men problems. Is that so much to ask?
Exactly. That sounds like a good time to me. Yeah. So absolutely, that. I think that's a fun thing. But our main topic today is we're going to talk about soundtracks. We're going to talk about movie soundtracks, like not necessarily scores, but I'm sure some scores will slip in there. But like the physical, I just hit my mic. But the physical soundtracks of like songs inspired by the movie or songs that were actually in the movie. But before we get into that, you have some stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about something that was brought to my attention today, actually. As you know, or as you may not know, Captain America Civil War, big movie this summer, is actually getting ready to come out on digital tomorrow as we record this. We're recording this on September 1st, and it's coming out on digital September 2nd. It'll be out on physical media next Friday, September 9th. And as is customary with big home releases these days, another round of interviews for the cast and crew come up, to talk about the DVD release and promote the DVD release. Mm-hmm. So there was an interview with one half of the Russo brothers, Anthony Russo, in today's edition of The Independent, which I guess is a British entertainment, it's a British periodical. But they were talking about Civil War and how it ties into Infinity War, and this is something that you and I personally have talked about off mic, in that you were wondering whether or not the ramifications of Civil War were over by the time that the movie was ended, and whether or not they were going to continue into Infinity War. At least I remember that being a question for you at some point, right?
I don't remember that, but keep going.
So basically there's this concern among the fan base that the ending of Civil War would seem to indicate that the conflict is pretty much resolved and there's going to be no lasting ramifications into Infinity War. I never thought that, but some people have said Civil War is inconsequential.
That's moronic. Why would anybody think that?
Because it mainly has to do with that ending where Cap sends the letter to Tony and gives him the burner phone and says, if you ever need me, I'll be out there. And the fact that Tony doesn't, I guess they wanted Tony to rip up the letter and throw it away or something to give some indication that he was still angry. Well, I guess they needed it spoon-fed to them.
Even if we all know that Cap is going to come back to fight, like he's going to be in Infinity War. We all know that. Everybody's going to be in Infinity War. And just because they were at odds during Civil War, had different ideologies, doesn't mean that Civil War is going to be inconsequential. All that means is that the ramifications are going to be echoed in Infinity War, where the relationship between Cap and Tony are going to be frayed and strained, and they might be able to unite, but that's going to be the story. That's going to be the story of them reuniting behind a common goal once more, because they had to get over the hump that is Civil War. Just because they get over the events of Civil War doesn't mean it's inconsequential.
Right, and you know that and I know that, but apparently some section of the fan base didn't know that, so they asked Anthony Russo point blank about this. So the question that the Independent interview gave him was, at the end of Civil War, characters are split and there's a whole new generation of superheroes being trained up. What is the state of the Avengers at the start of Infinity War? And he goes on to say, there's a writing adage that says, write yourself into a corner. My brother and I have always loved that adage. That was one of our favorite things about Civil War, that it ended in a difficult place where it's hard to imagine what the road forward is exactly like for both Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. And these two sides have suffered the consequences of this division. On a storytelling level, it's a very difficult place, and yes, that is very much the condition of the world as we move forward after Civil War. This very much sets the stage for where Infinity War begins. It's a place of strong divide. And the follow-up was, will some of the tensions have been resolved when we next meet the characters? So addressing any concerns that some sort of resolution happened off-screen and won't be portrayed in the next film. He goes on to nix that too. He says, we believe things that are important and complex for a character to go through should be seen on camera. The divisions that happened at the end of Civil War were so deep, they're not the kind of things you can resolve or move through off camera. They're the kind of things you have to directly deal with in the storytelling. That's our philosophical approach to how we handle those things. So there it is, right from the horse's mouth, in this case the horse being one half of the Russo brothers. The conflict from Civil War is not only not inconsequential, but it is not over, and it's going to be very much a part of the Infinity War movie.
Yes. Yeah. See, that's what we thought. I hate it that directors are forced to do this. I hate that they will be dogged with these type of questions where instead of just waiting and finding out of what it's going to be, people dog them in questions saying, like, what's it going to be? What's going to happen? What's going to happen at the beginning of this movie? What's going to happen at the middle of this movie? What's going to happen at the end of this movie? And just from a creative standpoint, it has to be maddening. And it's just, the Russo brothers have earned our trust.
Yeah, they're 2 for 2 at this point.
Let them be. Let them do their work. And then when they release their movie, watch it or don't watch it. But let them be. Let them do their work. They have earned our trust. So let's trust. I believe in the Russo brothers.
Yeah, I do too. I thought that was... It's an interesting interview. If you've ever watched any of the Russo brothers being interviewed, they're very classy, very fun guys. But I'm glad that story came out so we can just nip that ridiculousness right in the bud. So thank you for letting me stand on my Marvel platform momentarily.
I'm going to stand on my DC platform momentarily. Because what happened was in this last week, Ben Affleck, the man himself, Batfleck, released some footage. It looked like test footage of a character called Deathstroke, and apropos of absolutely nothing. He didn't say oh, this is totally going to be in Justice League. He didn't say this is going to be in my Batman solo movie. He didn't say anything like that, and he just released it, and it was clearly a character test of the character of Deathstroke, and I was like, hey, cool, and then I moved on, but all of these websites were reporting You're like it was confirmed. It was just like Deathstroke gonna be in Batman solo movie, or Deathstroke gonna be in Justice League. Like, it was never, there was no question marks. They didn't just report it. They didn't just say Ben Affleck releases footage of Deathstroke, which would have been a nice headline regardless. They had to say
but that doesn't get you them clicks, Tristan.
Oh, it's so annoying. And then of course, people online were like, "Oh, Deathstroke, he's a mercenary who uses swords and wears a mask, and his name is Deathstroke. What a Deadpool ripoff." First of all, learn your comic history before you bitch. Deathstroke came out in 1980. Deadpool came out in 1991, and Deadpool was specifically made to be a spoof, a parody of Deathstroke. It's in the name. And Deathstroke's real name is Slade Wilson.
Yeah, Wade Wilson.
Come on, guys. Quit complaining and stop saying like, "Oh, DC's ripping off Marvel," or "Marvel's ripping off DC." Like, it's just Deadpool was clearly an homage, a parody to Deathstroke, and it was all in good fun. Both characters are awesome. Both characters are successful. It's fine. It's okay. You do not have to hate on another franchise in order to build another franchise up.
No, I agree. The thing that I will say is that I absolutely agree with you, and I'm not taking the side of them at all. But to the general moviegoer who doesn't know about comic book history and will not look it up, unfortunately, it is going to, if this ever comes to pass, whether it's in a Justice League movie or a Batman movie, because that Deadpool movie came out and had such a profound impact on the audience at large, it may live in that shadow, justly or not, just because of the way that things happened. And the same will hold true for Marvel, because, I mean, Wonder Woman's coming out next year, and Marvel's not doing a female-led superhero until Captain Marvel in 2019. So, good or bad, Captain Marvel will live in the shadow and will be compared to the Wonder Woman movie. So it goes both ways, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. And, it is sad that happens. It's sad that we have to compare Civil War to Batman v Superman and not let it live on its own merits. I mean, the result would be the same either way, but you know what I'm saying. Like, and Deathstroke is so tonally different than Deadpool. I mean, Deathstroke he is a little crazy. He is badass. He's dark. He's an assassin. He's a mercenary. Like, yeah, it sounds familiar. It sounds like Deadpool, but tonally completely different. And the idea of him facing off with Batman is freaking sweet. I invite everybody to go look at the Arkham Origins trailer. The Arkham Origins trailer is a video game trailer, and it shows a fight between Batman and Deathstroke. It is magnificently done, and it's kind of a good preview to show you what we could see in live action. And it is mind-blowing. Like, I just got all tingly thinking about seeing Deathstroke in a live-action Batman film.
That's the thing I wanted to mention, too, is that there was some speculation as to if this happens, is it going to be a Justice League film or is it going to be a Batman film? From what you're telling me, it sounds like it's much more suited to a Batman film, because I think in a Justice League film, just for point of comparison, I'm not saying that they're similar, but just for a Justice League film, I think that you want something like an Avengers threat. You want an army of something.
Oh,
or you want...
No, they're absolutely similar. Oh, no, the Justice League and Avengers, absolutely similar.
No, but what I'm saying is I'm using those two things as a comparison, because I figure for a Justice League film, you want a Justice League level threat, something, and it would be comparable to something like, a horde of Ultrons or a horde of Chitauri.
Yes.
You want armies of something for a Justice League movie. One guy mercenary is better for a solo film, it sounds like to me.
100%, because if you put Deathstroke up against Superman, you'd have a dead Deathstroke. That's just how it is. But you have Deathstroke up against Batman, then you have an interesting play happening. And so I'm pretty excited. If this is the direction that they're going to go in, that Ben Affleck is going in, I think this could be a very interesting movie. And hopefully, WB will just stay out of it and let Ben Affleck do what he does best, and that's direct. So, anyway, moving on. So, soundtracks. The soundtracks of our lives. I want to start off by saying I want to ask you, what was the first soundtrack you ever bought? Do you remember?
Don't know if I remember. As far as soundtracks with songs on them, I do want to. You know what? One of my earliest memories, and it was when I was 13. So take that as you will. The 80s, I think, were the decade where the soundtrack album with songs that went with the movie first started to become big, and that's where a lot of like My Loves come from. It's a bunch of those cheesy 80s soundtracks. So I remember when I was in, I think it must have been 6th or 7th grade or somewhere around there, I bought the and this is how gay I am, the soundtrack to Flashdance.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, no, that's a good soundtrack. That's a great soundtrack. I remember my first soundtrack. It was actually soundtracks. The first two, because I bought them at the same time, was the Top Gun soundtrack.
That was my first exposure to a soundtrack.
Nice. Very nice. And Goldeneye.
Okay. So, something with the Tina Turner song on it.
Yeah, like Goldeneye was kind of like a hybrid between a score and a soundtrack, because it was mainly a score, but it had Tina Turner's song at the beginning and then something I can't remember at the end.
That really cheesy end credit song.
Oh, horrible.
The Experience of Love, that's what it's called.
Experience of Love. Oh, yeah, horrible track. Oh my God, so bad. I don't think I ever listened to it all the way through when I got the CD, but I listened to those things on loop. Like I had those were the first two that I bought, like with my own money on CD, because I had my dad's old 8-tracks and I had my dad's old records, and so I have to this day, like it's in the other room, I have an original 1977 pressing of the Star Wars score on vinyl, and I also have an original pressing on vinyl of the Grease soundtrack.
Nice.
So I think that was actually my first exposure to a soundtrack, was the Grease and Star Wars soundtrack. But the first ones that I bought with my money were Top Gun and Goldeneye.
Yeah. I don't know where you want to take this conversation, but like I said, if we're talking about soundtracks where there are songs from the movie put onto a CD, then Top Gun was my first exposure to that because my parents owned the soundtrack.
I mean, that's the thing, is that I have such extreme memories of watching Top Gun and loving that movie, growing up with it. My dad loves that movie. And so he would crank it. Like he'd be in the basement. We'd have the big screen. He had a badass sound system before anybody had a badass sound system. And he would just crank it up, and just like to the point where my mom is like stomping on the floor telling us to quiet down. And so you hear the F-14 just blazing through, just sounding awesome. And then you hear din it, and then you have just Danger Zone playing at full volume, and it was just so much fun. Like every time I listen to that soundtrack, I just feel like I'm having fun.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm, one of the things I wanted to touch on, and it goes along with my first Flashdance thing, is that I really do feel like the soundtrack, the idea of the soundtrack album, was never as more fun. It might not have been a great quality-wise, but it's never been more fun than it was in the 80s, at least in my opinion. Like I said, the songs on it are probably incredibly cheesy by today's standards, but that's fine because they're so much fun.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely cheesy. I mean, think about this. I can't remember what's the song when they're playing the beach volleyball.
Oh, I forget.
It's like Hanging with the Boys or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cheesy as hell. And then of course you have Take My Breath Away. Oh yeah, I don't care if that's cheesy. I love that song.
Great karaoke song, by the way.
There was one time when I was in middle school and I was in gym class, and we had to do a workout routine to music. Like it was a combination of moves where we had to do okay, now I'm doing 5 jumping jacks, then I'm doing like 6 sit-ups, and you had to do it to music. It was horrible. I hated it. And I just didn't think it through. And
wait, did they make the students pick the music or what?
Yes, the students got to pick the music and you were tested. Like you did it in pairs, and like you were tested with the music, and everything like that. It was a horrible situation. And so to me, I was like, well, I have Top Gun and I have Goldeneye. Those are the only 2 CDs I own, because I can't really bring in a record to school and have them play it, or an 8-track. And so instead of going with Top Gun, which actually has energy, I said, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a workout routine to the GoldenEye soundtrack. And not understanding tempo.
How old were you at the time?
Middle school, so 12, 13, something like that.
And it never occurred to you that maybe a slow song at that point wouldn't necessarily be conducive to working out?
It totally did not occur to me because I was just like, I love GoldenEye. It's an awesome soundtrack. It's got amazing score. It's got Tina Turner, so that's awesome. And I brought it and performed with it, and the PE teacher's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're doing jumping jacks at like a quarter speed. What are you?" And I was like, "Well, fine. What am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "Okay, fine. Just do it to this." And she put on like jock jams or something.
Great. I bet you were thrilled.
Oh, I was horrified.
This is why nerds don't like PE class.
This is exactly why nerds don't like PE class. That is spot on. Well, okay, so let's move on to what makes a good soundtrack. I mean, why I feel like soundtracks were definitely more important in the 80s and 90s than they are today. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think it builds on a sense of mood for the film. And what I mean by that is if you take something like Top Gun, where I would say, if memory serves, almost all of those songs are upbeat, save for Take My Breath Away, which is upbeat, but it's an upbeat in a different way.
Right.
But all of them serve to bolster the mood that the film is going for. In that case, that film is really fun. It's mostly a guy's film. I consider it a guy's film. Maybe some girls really like it too. But you know, I think it serves mainly when they first started as mood enhancers for the film, and when done right, as in the case of Top Gun or Flashdance or you know other great cheesy 80s stuff, like Footloose comes to mind. They really work, and they get the audience more involved because it's something catchy that's happening while something fun. You're watching something fun and listening to something catchy. It creates this association in the mind.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's definitely key. I have a different suggestion as to why I think they're less popular now or less important. And that is when you had soundtracks in the 80s and 90s, one thing did not exist very, very easily, and that's playlists. You know, like you could make your own playlist once the tape deck came around, but it was a huge pain in the ass to do it. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort, and you know, hey, the mixtape is an amazing experience. I love making mixtapes, and I think it's a lost art. But back it was much harder to do. Today, I can make my favorite playlist of my favorite songs in under 15 seconds on my phone, and then it's done. But back in the day, in the 80s and 90s and everything like that, when you had a good soundtrack, you're like, oh, cool. I can have all of these songs and listen to them all at once consecutively and not swap out CDs. And, you know, back then that was your only option. Today, like I can create the Suicide Squad soundtrack on Spotify, no problem. Or I can buy the songs on iTunes and put them together. Now, that's silly because you could just buy the soundtrack, but you know what I'm saying? Like I can make this playlist.
Yeah.
On my own. And it was like in the 80s and 90s, it was pre-made playlists shipped to your door or that you could pick up in the store.
Right. I also think one of the reasons it had its heyday in the 80s, and this comes more into play when you have artists creating original songs for the movie, it is all about cross-promotion. Because the 80s was the heyday and the start of something like MTV, where if you could get a really hot artist to record a song for your movie, not only would it be included in that movie, but that artist might also make a music video to go with that and use clips from the movie. So there's all this cross promotion going on, which is very, very important. It's still kind of important today, but when you think about the emphasis of music videos and stuff like that today versus the way they were back in the 80s, it was a big deal if you could get whoever to do your song from your movie.
Now, okay, what I did was I just typed in best 80 soundtracks in Google, and right at the top Top Gun is the first thing that comes up. But listen to the rest of these. Pretty in Pink, Beverly Hills Cop, Teen Wolf, Rocky IV, The Breakfast Club, Kickboxer, Cobra, Footloose, and Xanadu. The list just goes on and on and on. And all these movies had fantastic music in them. And we remember them because of their music.
Yeah, even if the films themselves aren't necessarily great, you could still have like a not great movie and still get a hit song out of it, in which case you may get some business. So I think the cross-promotion thing was more of an emphasis in the 80s, and that's why you saw more and more soundtracks being created. Because who needs a soundtrack to Kickboxer, really, unless you're trying to attract more people?
Yes, and I, you know what, as we're talking about this, and you're talking about like cross-promotion and trying to do that, it automatically made me think of Will Smith and how he tried to keep that trend alive as long as possible.
Yes, I mean, it did continue with certain artists into the 90s. I mean,
well, yeah, like you had Men in Black, like just with Will Smith, you had Men in Black, and Wild Wild West are the first things that come to mind. And you know, I remember the fervor that happened with the Men in Black song. Like everyone was doing that dance, everyone was singing that song. And Wild Wild West happened, and everybody's like, okay, you're trying a little too hard on this one.
Right. Well, I mean, you're trying a little too hard for a movie that's not really that good.
Oh my gosh, that movie sucks so bad. Men in Black is good, but Wild Wild West was just an atrocious movie. And it even had Kenneth Branagh, and it was still an atrocious movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm surprised he didn't do one for Independence Day, but I guess that was his first big starring role, and I guess he wanted to be taken seriously as an actor and not as an artist.
That's really funny. I want him to retroactively make a song for Independence Day.
Because he could have, and the music video would be him flying around in a ship blowing alien ships up.
Now, okay, so I feel like you're definitely 100% right about soundtracks being a bigger deal in the past. But every once in a while, you get a director who music is important to. And now we're not talking about, like a score like John Williams or something like that, or Terrence Malick, where music is important. I'm talking about pre-made music within the movie, like using that.
So existing music that wasn't recorded specifically for the music, but for the movie, but they used in the movie anyway. Yes.
Like, that this director values his or her music producer, like the music supervisor.
So something like, just to throw it out there, the Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix, how they used songs from the 70s and 80s to create moods and vibes for the movie.
That is a much better, I wouldn't say better, like that is a much more recent example than what I was thinking, because I was thinking Cameron Crowe.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No, that's a great example. That's absolutely true. Like the music, the pre-made music, like the old 70s and music and everything like that, that was paramount to the story. And I think they did a great job of not just having a cool soundtrack, but marketing it as a part of the movie, and also it was a big payoff to see that it is actually a plot point. It is actually a part of the story.
I mean, because of that movie, a lot of those songs re-entered like top iTunes charts, which was kind of cool to see, 70s music being in the top 10.
I know, right? Like how cool is that? It's really interesting how much power, movies have over the industry, and not just in the movie industry, but also in clothing and merchandise and music. It's really cool. And if you, I just want to list some of Cameron Crowe's movies. You have Jerry Maguire, Almost Famous, Vanilla Sky, and Elizabethtown. Now I won't go to the other ones, but just those, once he became a breakthrough director, with Jerry Maguire, you look at those first 4 films, music, you can hear the music from those films. You can hear them in your head. And I think Almost Famous is one of, I'm not trying to be punny here, but Almost Famous has one of the most famous soundtracks, I think, in the last 20 years, because Cameron Crowe spent so much time curating that music. And I know a lot of people don't like this movie. I don't know why, but Vanilla Sky has a magnificent soundtrack. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, I like it when directors can use soundtracks to either establish a sense of place or a sense of character. I think that sense of character goes more to what Guardians of the Galaxy was, because that helped to build up Chris Pratt's character. But sense of place can help, especially when it's a period piece. Another director, I don't know if he does it in all of his movies, but I can think of two that come to mind right away, and the director I'm thinking of is Robert Zemeckis. Using, of course, what I think of are Back to the Future. When he goes back, he uses a lot of 50s music to establish time and place. And the other big one that was a huge, at least to my parents it was, because I think we still have the cassette tape of it, was the Forrest Gump soundtrack, using that to establish not only time and place, but time passing and corresponding with certain events.
Yeah, that is a great example. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of, I feel like it's so easy to talk about directors who focus on the score, who always have fantastic composers to work with and people who can really drive emotion home. And I'm not saying that's an easy job. Obviously, I'd be a freaking moron if I said that was an easy job. But when you can make your own music, it's you can fine tune it to exactly what you want. Now, I'm not saying that's easy. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that is a benefit of a score, is that the composer can fine tune the moment themselves, and in pairing with the director. But sometimes it can be harder or easier when you find that pre-made music. Like if you find that pre-made music, sometimes it just clicks. It just works. Like I went to school and I got I went to film school. I went to an undergrad where it was emphasis in mass communication. And so I've made a lot of short films, and I continue to work. I'm a video producer still today. And so I continue to use music in my everyday life to pair it with visual elements. And my professor always told me, get the story first, everything else will follow. I never really worked that way. Like what I would do is I would find a song that I absolutely love, and then I would build a story around that song. Now, not a music video. It would just inspire me, and then somehow I would try to work it into my short film later on.
That seems like it would be a lot harder.
That's the thing, is that I tell that to people and they say oh, that's ass backwards, and
because,
to me it just
because
works.
I mean, not to say that this is the quality that you ended up with, but there's that criticism when it comes to certain blockbuster movies that we didn't write a story, we wrote a bunch of action scenes and we shot around those action scenes to try to make them make sense. That's right. Similar to what you're talking about, but you're saying that it was a lot easier for you.
For me, what you're talking about is justifying a means to an end. I'm talking about inspiration. For example, another individual who is really focused on music in his movies, and that's Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson has some amazing music in his movies. Every single one of his movies, from Rushmore on.
I could have swore I heard the sound of Lena Stromo sitting up straighter at the mention of Wes Anderson. His
ears perked up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I listen to Wes Anderson music constantly. I have a playlist on Spotify that I made myself that has combined music from Darjeeling Limited, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Life Aquatic, Royal Tenenbaums. Royal Tenenbaums has some amazing music. If you've not listened to the soundtrack, just buy it. If you've never even seen the movie, just buy the soundtrack. It's an amazing soundtrack. And God, what was I talking about? Oh yes. So Wes Anderson, there's one very cool moment in the Royal Tenenbaums where one of the leads is waiting at the station. He just got off of a boat and he's waiting to get picked up, and then Gwyneth Paltrow's character, she comes by bus, and then the doors open up on the bus and everything goes in slow motion, and a very, very nice song plays. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's called These Days, and it's very sullen, very sultry, it almost sounds like the music itself is in slow motion. Her voice is in slow motion, but it's not. And so she gets off the bus and they start to walk towards each other, and it's a very interesting moment. And Wes Anderson said in an interview, he's like, oh, I knew I wanted to do that moment before I wrote the script. I just had this visual in my head of I wanted to make that moment and I wanted to put it in the movie, and he had that moment in mind when he listened to the song. And so that's kind of what it is. It's inspiration of moments that you can put into a scene, and you can build a movie around that scene. But it's not so much like, oh, I want to have this, this, and this. Oh, we'll just write a story that's totally secondary. It is all about these collection of moments. Like I have a journal that I keep with me that is just a collection of moments, like fake moments that never happened to me, that pop into my head, and I write down a song that I think that would go well with it. And every once in a while, like if I'm writing a script, I'll throw in one of those moments.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I can see how that does make a difference.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of fun. So, Sofia Coppola, another director that uses music.
I've not seen any of her films. I should, because I've wanted.
Why are you snickering then? What?
Because someone mentions Sofia Coppola, I think of Godfather 3.
Oh, okay, all right. So horrible actress, good director. Now, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Her movies, they don't always connect with me, but she makes you experience what the character is experiencing.
I do want to see. Wasn't Lost in Translation her?
Yes, it was. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like in Lost in Translation, if the character is sad, you're sad. If the character is lonely, you're lonely. If the character's bored, you're bored. And that is a definite skill. Like that is a definite skill of a very talented director. Some people don't like it, and that's fine if it's not your bag. But in Virgin Suicides, Lost in Translation, and Marie Antoinette, especially Marie Antoinette in my mind, as well as Lost in Translation, these movies have fantastic moments that utilize music that either for humor or drama or whatever. And she has very memorable moments, and she cues these impressive visuals with impressive music, and so it just sticks in your brain that much longer.
Right. I wish I knew more directors that used music in that way. I mean, because honestly, when I think of soundtracks, I don't think of specific directors or specific anything. I think of moments in movies, like the opening of Top Gun, like the end of Flashdance, or like the end of Footloose, or again, my mind is permanently stuck in the 80s. But I think of moments in movies, but I'd be interested to look in more of what you're talking about in terms of directors who always pick what songs they're going to use ahead of time, or it seems that way.
Yeah, it's well, I think one person that you could probably not relate to but recognize, and that's Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, okay, I take it back, because having just watched all of Tarantino's work to lead up to Hateful Eight, that is absolutely true.
Well, think about Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
Think about that scene where he cuts off the cop's ear. The song Stuck in the Middle with You.
Yeah.
That's an amazing song, and I cannot listen to that song without shuffling backwards, going back and forth.
He's introduced me to a couple of songs because I think almost all of the music he uses is pre-existing. Sometimes he has the original score, but most of the songs that stick out from his movies are pre-existing. He introduced me to a couple that had no idea they were songs, and then I watch his movies, and then I instantly want to buy them. Like,
yeah.
I had no idea about the song Across 110th Street until I watched Jackie Brown in the opening, and I love that song now. I bought it because of that movie.
Yeah, that is such a great song. Like I have that on a lot of playlists. I listen to that a lot. I love that, and I can't remember if Tarantino introduced it to me or not. But one song that I think definitely defined maybe that's an overstatement, but I feel like a generation fell in love with this band because of this movie, and that's, I'm sure there's hipsters everywhere that's going to hate me for saying this, but that is at the end of Fight Club, the song by the Pixies, Where Is My Mind? You remember that scene?
I remember them watching the city blowing up, but I can't recall the song.
Oh no! Oh man, you're totally ruining my point because I was gonna say I was like, if you remember that scene, you remember that song.
But then again, you're the Fincher fan, and I'm.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the thing is like even if you had no idea who Fincher was, like everyone had this song on a playlist. Everyone said, "Oh yeah, I'm edgy, I'm hipster because I like the Pixies." All right, well, what's another song by them? That's besides the point.
I have to watch the film again. Admittedly, I saw it once, like 2 years ago.
You're killing me. Okay, how about another moment that you might connect to? Because it's an 80s song, and the movie takes place in the 80s, but it was not made in the 80s, and that's Donnie Darko with Head Over Heels from Tears for Fears. Remember
Okay,
that?
yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Come on, I mean that is a fantastic move, piece that introduces the characters and all like the main character, all the side characters, and it incorporates almost all of the settings and the school. And it's such a great piece of music. And, I absolutely hated it. They replaced it in the director's cut.
With what?
I cannot remember for the life of me, but it was vastly inferior.
That's sad.
That song was so iconically used for that movie. And then that's one of the best moments of your film. And then you replace it. Come on, Richard Kelly. Do better. Do better. Oh, I'm trying to think of some other ones. And I think the Coen brothers would be a good example of people who utilize music. Like if you look at the Big Lebowski.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Or, especially, this one's huge. And that is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I'll take your word for it. I've never seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
God, you're killing me today. You are absolutely... I need you to fly to Chicago, and then we'll just sit down, and we will have a music movie marathon.
Okay, as long as there's no Fincher in there.
Oh, you bastard. Of course there's going to be Fincher in there. You know that.
If there's Fincher in there, you're going to have to strap me down Clockwork Orange style.
Well, and you'll like it. But with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, it has a lot of very cool, folksy, bluegrass music on it, and it kind of reintroduced the genre to the mainstream. Because, like when you say bluegrass, you say folk. Back then, people were like, what on earth are you talking about? Yes, of course, there was hipsters who do nothing but listen to that stuff. But you had so many great moments of this music going forward. And it was, like I said, it just reintroduced it to the mainstream. And it just, I want to get the vinyl on it just because it has such old music, but the vinyl's too expensive, so I just have to settle with Spotify.
I promise I will watch these movies. I will.
You have to. Like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, the first time I watched it, I didn't like it. Actually, most Coen films I don't actually like.
The Coen brothers are such an acquired taste.
But that's the thing is that like you have to give it time to settle in, and that's the thing. Like the second time I watched it, I was like, this is okay. Third time I watched it, I was like, this is great. This is great. Now, one moment that I think we need to talk about before we go could be, and this is not an exaggeration, one of the key moments in cinematic history that have utilized a song in the best possible way, and it's been reproduced infinity times, but never to the right caliber, and that is Bohemian Rhapsody from Wayne's World.
Oh, you are so right. I'm surprised you actually know that because you don't seem like the Wayne's World type, but that's my movie.
What? I don't know what that means, but sure, let's continue.
I've made Wayne's World references before, and you shake your head and like I'm crazy or something.
Well, you are crazy, but for different reasons.
But you're right. I mean, nothing, and I'm sorry, but that includes the Suicide Squad trailer.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, that yeah. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think using that in the Suicide Squad was necessary. I mean, I think it was fun, but I was listening to Words with Nerds with our fellow co-host on the network, John Mills, and he was talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, and I can 100% agree with him. He's like, let's be done with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I agree. I heard that show too, and I'm in full agreement. It will never be used in the same way that it was in Wayne's World, ever.
No. Now, I did kind of want to end on. I wanted to end
on
not even if
Rhapsody. Not even if there's a Queen biopic, can you use Bohemian Rhapsody?
Well, I think that one might be the exception, the one exception. But I know I said I wanted to end on Bohemian Rhapsody, but something just came to mind, and I think we need to talk about it. And this one is definitely you would be able to relate to it, and that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
You know, like everybody knows the
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you know, everybody knows that song. And like him singing on the float, we've all done that in our you know, like in our bathrobes, and like when he's singing in the shower, we've all done that and sung that exact same song. And it's just so funny how these music moments in these movies reverberate throughout our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether the character is actually doing it or not, singing it in the movie or not, just linking up those moments with the film is fantastic. I mean, one of the first movies that you mentioned when you were going through that list was Breakfast Club. And I'm looking at my phone right now. I have Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me on my phone as we speak, just because I connect it so much to that movie. And I love that movie. That's actually my favorite John Hughes project out of the 80s.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's a fantastic film. And, you know, like once you get to that song, once you listen to that song, you can't help but throw your fist in the air and just hold it there for a couple seconds. You know, that like it's one of these uniting forces where there's something about, like, yes, visuals are pretty, yes, music can touch us, but when you combine the two, there's something magical that happens.
Yeah, it you know, it can become about the emotions that it elicits, you know, from the film and from you. That's why you have certain songs from certain 80s soundtracks that are inspirational, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to tie up. This was our show. And please contact us. Let us know what you think of soundtracks in movies. What are some of your favorite movie soundtracks? What are some directors that you think use music well? Who are some people that we forgot to mention? What are some soundtracks that we forgot to mention? This was by no means a comprehensive list. This is just Matt and I riffing. And one thing that you should also do is you should go to lootcrate.com/nerdparty. From there, you can get an amazing geek box that has Pop Funkos, action figures. You can get t-shirts and comics. It's all really cool. You get $40 worth of merchandise for under $20. And if you want to save even more money on top of that, go to lootcrate.com/nerdparty. Enter in the code nerdparty, and you will not regret it. Well, one thing you should also do is go to thenerdparty.com. That's where you can find all of our shows. We have several shows that will blast your ear holes, and that is Nerd Nuptial, this show, The Senate Floor, the spinoff show, Filibuster, as well as one of the greatest Star Wars podcasts out there, Aggressive Negotiations. You should give all of these shows a try, and if you like them, you should go to iTunes and give us a review, especially this show. If you go to iTunes and you give us a 5-star review, we'll mention you on the podcast. I mean, you can give any type of review that you want, but if you give us a 5-star one, we'll mention you. Now, Hanson, where can we find you?
You can find me at mhansen0207, HANSEN, talking about all things nerdy.
And that's on Twitter. You can also find me at the Insane Robin on Twitter.
Thank you so much for our retrospective of fun movie soundtracks and just soundtracks in general. It was a really great discussion. And until next time, don't you forget about us.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.